We are back with a much requested Xiao Chao Meng gameplay on his patented, famous, globally recognized Aatrox. He's obviously known as probably one of the best, if not the best Aatrox in the world, if not one of the best solo queue top laners in the world. I think he plays mostly set and Aatrox, and that's definitely what he's known for. So we're going to be watching some gameplay today versus a Riven. As much as I'm a Riven player, I actually love to see Rivens getting destroyed, and I don't know why, it just brings me so much joy. The champion's so slippery and so annoying, even though I am a Riven main, obviously, just makes me happy to watch. We're going to see how he handles the matchup today. Going over the runes, I've got a animation that I've just put on the screen here as we see a nice level 1 trade by Xiao Chao Meng, getting the Riven's flash there. Obviously, as I spoke about before, I think in my last video, I think it was built versus Finn's Aatrox. This is a pretty good combo for the Aatrox versus Riven matchup, is the barrier and flash. Obviously, barrier much more effective against Ignite than heal, because Ignite obviously cuts heal, so very, very smart for him to take the barrier. It's quite hard to kill Aatrox through all of his healing when he has barrier, so we're going to see how the matchup pans out today. As we get the Riven flash already. If you guys like the little animation, let me know as well. I really want to start getting more feedback off you guys about the videos, because I just want to kind of like try and make them better and better. I always want to improve my content, and I couldn't appreciate you guys sticking around to watch these videos. All the comments you guys leave are really, really motivating for me to keep doing these. And as I said before, I love doing this educational sort of stuff. So I just want to make my content as good as it possibly can be, because I hope that this is my job one day. I love teaching about the game, and I love doing these reviews. And I hope you guys enjoy them as well, as we see a lovely little W there. If you are new to the channel as well, and you haven't seen my content before, my name is Rival. I'm a Grandmaster top laner, and I do these kind of reviews where I sort of try to teach about matchups and break them down. I'm skipping over a fair bit that I can talk about, but we'll jump into it in a second. So if you guys are new, please leave me a subscription and a comment about what you think I could do better in the videos, or what you like. And I'm so happy to have you guys here. So let's jump into the gameplay. As I said before, we have the runes on the screen. We have Alacrity on the side of the Aatrox. Is probably the one thing that I want to point out here, because it helps him get off more auto attacks, and auto attacks are the thing that brings up his passive more. Aatrox early game as well has really clunky last hitting, so it's quite nice to have, as we see, Riven picks up a kill there, obviously sacrificing her Ignite though. It's a lot nicer on Aatrox, because his auto attack animation is quite clunky at the start of the game, to go Alacrity, have that little bit more of attack speed to clear out the waves, and last hitting is much nicer, as well as it kind of helps you weave through his auto attacks in between Q rotations. Aatrox works a little bit differently than Riven, so with Riven, as soon as you start Q1, her Q ability goes on cooldown. Aatrox is the exact opposite, so once you start Q on Aatrox, it doesn't actually go on cooldown until Q3 has been casted, or until you stop casting Q. So Aatrox has 4 seconds, I believe, no, 2 seconds or 3 seconds between Q casts before the Q goes on cooldown. So he has a limited amount of time that he can cast the Qs in. Whatever Q it runs out on, that's when the Q cooldown will start. So Riven can space her Qs, but Aatrox cannot. So the way that this matchup works, he's kind of pretty safe, and honestly, this is almost like lane wings kind of situation, because, ooh, this could be a 2-1. Actually, he's got everything up. Riven has nothing, and basically used all of her spells to gap close there too. Passive auto attack animation. Can I talk? This, yeah, it's just easy. You didn't even have to use barrier. I don't know why they even go for that. Riven's half HP, a level down, no summoners, and had to use most of her spells to gap close onto him there, and he just kites it backly. That's kind of how you should play Aatrox, I feel, is kiting back on your Qs and letting healing really control the fights. Off to a great start, 30 CS at 5 minutes, 1 kill on the board. Riven probably at a CS deficit. As I spoke about in the Built and Finn matchup last video, if you guys want to go check that out as well, it's another Aatrox Riven matchup from the perspective of the Aatrox as he alt tabs. Let me just skip forward. We have Sorcery, 15 CS on Riven's side. We have Sorcery from the Aatrox, from the Riven, which, as I said before, is optimal into Aatrox. Obviously, Resolve. Aatrox doesn't really have a crazy amount of kill pressure early. Riven wouldn't have died there if she had Summoners up. Aatrox doesn't have a crazy amount of kill pressure on the Riven pre-6, but once he gets his Iron Spike whip, that's where he really starts to hurt, and Resolve holds most of the value for Riven pre-6. So you obviously don't need it against Aatrox, and Sorcery on Riven scales much better. We have Red buff here, and Aatrox still has his barrier, so he's just playing extremely aggressively here. Very, very, very nice trade. Riven is basically almost out of lane because of that, because he still has his barrier up. It's the thing that I love the most about Xiao Chao Meng as well, guys, is how just ridiculously aggressive this guy is. I love watching him, because it just shows you what you can do with an item advantage. He knows he's got an Iron Spike whip to a pickaxe. He has barrier still, he's got red buff, and he's almost level 6. He can play as aggressive as he wants. I feel like a lot of people would still play kind of scared. He's even still playing the wave as well, so he's going to try and shut Riven out even more. So in this sort of circumstance, I'll just teach a bit about wave management, which I also have a video on. If in this situation, obviously we have the wave coming back to Riven, back to Aatrox, away from the Riven. So we're paying attention to the creeps here as they kill the Aatrox's minions, which obviously denies Riven gold and XP. So he's halfway through level 6. And Riven hasn't even hit level 6 yet, as she makes a desperation roam mid. Actually, pretty smart roam from Riven because she literally can't move up here. This is like pretty much all that they could get out at the moment. So very, very smart from the Riven. But either way, Aatrox is going to set up a pretty big freeze here. It's halfway to level 7, Riven's level 5. So top lane is well and truly over. She is out of the game. This is a... in high elo games, you make one mistake like this top, and the game is just over. It's a really, really punishing lane to play. Like, I don't even feel like Riven really lost the lane. It's kind of funny because her roam where she got a kill using Ignite actually ended up costing her the lane. So it's kind of like, was it really worth? Like, she got a kill out of it. Maybe she just played it wrong. I don't know. Maybe that gank was a little bit too desperation. Either way, we're just going to set up a pretty big freeze here. I feel like Aatrox will be probably heading towards level 8 before Riven even hits level 6, or around when Riven hits level 6. Have a gank happening bot. We have a level 7 Aatrox to the side of level 5 Riven. Riven will come out to lane now with probably an Iron Spike Whip and maybe a longsword and refillable potion. That's my guess. I feel like as long as he holds this freeze, Riven really can't answer back, because this is kind of the situation where Riven can't trade onto the Aatrox because he'll just E back into the tower, which is another strength of freezing, is you have the safety of your tower there. So if you get traded on badly inside the big wave, you can just jump back to the safety of your tower, and you obviously can't be ganked either. Like, if a jungler sees the Aatrox in this freeze, there's just no way that is coming top to gank. And this is kind of like, I feel, because I think Riven's still roaming, I feel if you're in this situation and you're the Aatrox, you need to be telling people, just don't die. Like, literally just set up a freeze at your tower or something, and I can shut Riven out of the game. Like, as long as Riven doesn't get any value from her, as the E animation cancels nicely there. As long as Riven doesn't get any value from these, like, kind of desperation rooms, the game is literally over from the top side of the map. We have 62 CS to 23 CS. Level 6 on Riven. She probably only just hit it to almost level 8 on the Aatrox. Like, as long as you're not getting dove and ganked and killed by this Riven, she is going to fall so far behind. As we see, he's kind of like looked to break that freeze a little bit with that Iron Spike Whip cast before, because obviously he can start to get plates now. So we build a slow push into the Riven, level 8 now. There's just no way he can get ganked. We have ult, barrier, everything up. So in case the jungler decides to come topside, he's going to be able to easily negate the gank. So with Aatrox, once you get Iron Spike Whip, it's kind of the area of the game where you can look to just poke down. So I feel like probably the hardest part when I play this matchup is Aatrox will look to hit you with a sweet spot of his Qs and kind of get you down to about 50% HP. And then by the time you're about that HP, you just don't really lose to Riven because she can't really 100-0 you. So as long as you take these really conservative, like, poke trades with your Q, you should be pretty good to control the wave. We see amazing CS in there. 79 in 9 minutes. Incredible stuff. He's starting to get a little bit of attack speed on him as well, so he should shred through a plate here or two, depending on where Riven's gone on the map. This is another big advantage of slow pushing as well, as we go to answer a invade, and he should be dead here, is he actually has a lot of time to go and do what he needs to do now before Riven's able to answer, because someone has to eat the wave, right? So we're predicting Kha'Zix to jump over and go and take our golems here, but he does not. So we'll take them off just in case. Maybe he's taking red buff or something, I don't know. Riven eventually comes back to lane, level 6, 27 CS, and just a pickaxe, literally still the same item as when Aatrox was in lane last. Like, she's gotten pretty much nothing on those roams because I think Ari might have gotten the kill off the invade. So level 8 to level 7. I love this kind of game because we're really going to see, like, how the top laner in Xiao Chao Meng's case is able to pivot this game back into his favor using his advantage top. It's very important when you watch these, like, reviews and when you watch VODs yourself that you're, like, paying really close attention to, like, it's kind of hard to do, but you pay close attention to, like, their openings, like why they do things, try and discern, like, why they're doing things or why they're roaming or why they're freezing or why they're pushing, or, like, just try to understand it and how you can employ it in your games. It's kind of like how you're going to just see how they push their lead, if that makes sense. It's going to show you, give you more windows, give you more avenues back into the game and teach you things when you're in the same situation where you're a top laner and the game's looking, it's not lost, but it's definitely, like, kind of Aatrox's game to carry because he's being given so much top. And Riven's just making these, like, desperation roams where she literally can't even be in lane against this Aatrox. Vice versa, like, on the flip side of this, if you're on the Riven situation, by all means, go ahead and do what Riven's doing. It's kind of risky for you to be in lane against the Aatrox because he'll just literally, like, poke you down and just 100-0 you. Like, he'll kill you in lane over and over again and you'll just start taking plates anyway and you'll be denied XP. So desperation roams, what Riven are doing, they're actually pretty frustrating to play against too because, like, Riven doesn't really get punished. The only way to, like, for Riven to get punished is for her to not get anything out of the roams. But in solo queue, people always play, like, overly aggressive. Like, if this was pro play, there's just no way this works for Riven. 103 CS to 36 CS at 11 minutes. This Riven, but she's gotten, like, a lot of her roams though. Like, they didn't respect her, and now she's not back in the game because she's still at a level deficit. I always say this: a level deficit is so much more. Has 4 kills. A level deficit is so much more like potent than a gold deficit because gold can just be get from kills, CS, like whatever. XP is like essentially like a time thing. Like he's just had more time to experience. So Riven's going to have a really hard time matching the Aatrox for the rest of the game, I would imagine. He's also triple SCS. I would assume she's used her summoners around the map when she was looking to get fights as well. So maybe Nidalee comes here or we set up a dive. We have Gordrinker on the side of Aatrox to Gordrinker on the side of Riven, but he has a level advantage, so it doesn't really matter. Let's see if they can kill the Riven here. She has Gordrinker, so she's pretty tanky, and she has the active to keep her safe too. We don't have any healing cut on the side of these two either, unless Nidalee has a what's that? Dude, I don't build AP items. I don't know what they're called. All right, let's see if Riven can outplay. Is this going to be a dive? I feel like they just kill her, right? There's just no way she survives. Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, this Aatrox is the tankiest thing ever. He's got all sums up, flash and barrier. There's just, and he still hurts because he's a couple levels ahead. There's just no way. So we see him take the topside tower here as Kha'Zix engages on the Nidalee. Ahri making a really nice roam top. Doesn't have to really be too scared about her because she just used Charm then. She does have a charge of her ult though, so he does need to be a little bit careful in case Kha'Zix come. Maybe flash Q here. Let's see. Nah, she should just still die. Sick barrier. I feel like the barrier was like a really nice time on that tower shot. I feel like maybe he could have played that a tiny little bit better about like in the circumstance where he survives. But either way, kills the Ahri. Maybe not too worth because Ahri gets a shutdown, but either way, we're picking up our Tabby here. Obviously high value into the Kha'Zix Riven topside and Lucian being fed as well. Ahri is still quite going to be annoying to deal with though. Those charms he has to watch out for. He's going to CC him for a fair while. Aatrox definitely leading the XP here. Ahri level 10 as well because she would have gotten some shutdown XP, but Aatrox is going to be able to eat this big wave top. So we're looking to match, this is kind of smart lane assignment from them. We're looking to match the Ahri with the Aatrox because Ahri is the same level as well as the fact that like Riven, if Riven goes up to farm, Aatrox can just poke. Ooh, this is some jukey stuff. Riven can just get poked down, but because of the fact that Ahri's range, like she's doing a great job dodging these spells, but he really hurts. Yeah, if she eats like another rotation. Another thing as well is Aatrox has sustain advantage, or like, ooh, W. Aatrox has sustain advantage here, so if Ahri gets poked down, she's just permanently this low. Aatrox can just sustain up. All right, nice. Big. So this is a really big thing as well because we're cracking top. We get first tower also. Oh no, wait. I think bot got first tower. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, he's gotten a tower under his belt now and we kill the Ahri who was at a level advantage. So as I said before, in the way of sustained advantage, obviously I think Aatrox got down to about half HP. Ahri got down to about half HP, but Aatrox can heal off the wave whereas Ahri can't. All right, we're forcing an invade here as Kha'Zix just leaves. Fair enough, but maybe he dies for it. Very nice. Good coordination from the team there. Game's starting to stabilize. It was looking a little bit lost to start with as Riven was making these really successful roams. But as I said before, that 4 kills doesn't mean anything if you're a couple levels down. So Xiao Chao Meng is still definitely in control of the top side of the map here. If you guys want to go watch Xiao Chao Meng, by the way, I'm going to have his link in the description below. Warning, like, truth be told, he does smurf a fair bit, but on his main account, he is known to be over 2,000 LP pretty consistently on the Chinese super server. Man is an absolute demon. Watching his set as well, I would say is even more fun than the Aatrox because I feel like set's just a fair bit more high pressure than Aatrox. Like, he makes these crazy 2v1 plays with, he plays Ignite, or he pretty much only plays Combat Summoners top, which is what probably makes him so enjoyable to watch, as Riven's still half CS because just so much crazy stuff happens. So many solo kills, so many 2v1s, all that kind of thing. His set's still like a fair bit more high pressure because set obviously can get a lot more solo kills pre-6 compared to Aatrox. Still obviously has to get his kind of Iron Spike Whip, Caulfield Spike before he can look to fight you. He does a really good job at like anticipating these skill shots and dodging them, which is really nice to see. We have him coming mid now, maybe trying to break the mid tower or rotating down to Dragon, the first Dragon of the game maybe. Obviously the enemy team's going to be quite scared because we know that the Aatrox is sort of towards the Dragon, so they might even just give it without contesting because they don't really want the Aatrox there. He's going to be so tanky and so hard to shred through as their front line. Maybe they're looking to trade Herald for Dragon. Yeah, this is going to be scary. Oh, never mind. That Blitzcrank hook was amazing. Doesn't even use ult. Look at the composure on him. As I said before, they see him heading towards Dragon, so it's pretty interesting. Like, it just makes sense for them to go towards Herald, right? So they immediately rotate back up towards Herald, not wanting to give it at all. Quite smart. Aatrox just leading the way around the plays. Everyone kind of has to follow the Aatrox because he's just so ahead. So when you're in this situation, like where you're the Aatrox and you're just like that fed, okay, Bard's just going for a roam, I guess. When you're that fed, wherever you are, the pressure is not on the opposite side of the map, if that makes sense. Like, they can literally, they're free to do anything as long as you're not there. Like, if you're a top laner, you need to be aware that you showing on certain sides of the map can just allow or disallow the enemy team from doing like certain plays. Very nicely played. As Riven's going in for the backline there. Xayah still has her ult. Riven should die as well. Lovely. Well played by everybody there. So let's say, for example, like you're in this Aatrox situation. if you were like a lower elo player and you just went to go top to get the wave or something like that, but Dragon's still up, the enemy team might even just take Dragon because they know that the rest of the map's quite strong. Their Xayah has picked up a few kills now. She has a 1k bounty, which is really, really nice. So if you're showing yourself bot and like Baron's up, you need to be aware that like the enemy team can just rush an objective if you're not there. Like you showing is such an important, like if you're hidden and the enemy team just doesn't know where you are, they're not going to start doing anything, you know, because they're like, oh, he could be flanking, he could be right here. Like, I don't know where he is. I really don't want to risk it in case he's on a flank. If they see you top, like in my games, say for example, there's like an 8-1 Zed and he's just pushing top and we're like looking at Dragon. This rarely happens in my games because it's just stupid macro. But like if there's a Zed randomly, like a fed Zed top and Dragon's up, like I'm flashing on someone to like force a fight because so much of their power is elsewhere on the map and Zed can't attend. We know obviously even if Zed starts roaming, we'll probably have won the fight or like put them in a circumstance that like even if Zed wants to join the fight, it's like a 3v4 already or like a 3v5 or 4v5 because it's just a man down. So it's not really smart for them to take the fight. So if you know that like someone, like a fed person or a lot of their resources on the other side of the map, like just start doing like crazy plays towards making something happen. So like you should be hard engaging on someone, flashing on someone, like just pinging or just like, you know, telling your bard like, man, go for like an ult here or like, let's just try and get a pick, like play a pick. We see Zed on the other side of the map. Like, yeah, if he gets a tower, like it's what it is, going to get a couple waves of farm. But like in the scope of the game, if you're trying to get back in the game and you see a lot of their resources top, you need to be making those sort of plays and like being really decisive with it too and being definitive. Because yeah, Zed's going to get resources, but like the shutdown gold that you get from maybe a kill or two and the objective and like getting your team kind of like back into the game a little bit more is really, really big. And it's just worth so much more than what the Zed's going to be able to get split pushing here. So we have the Death Dance on Aatrox already. 19 minutes, 2.5 items. This guy's an absolute titan looking to just take the resources top. If there's no play to go for, it's just smart to look to take resources. It's don't have to feel like you're rushed to do anything. You have all the time in the world, especially if you're leading the game. So like here they knew Aatrox was top, so they're kind of like free to just fight and engage. We still have Xayah alive though. I feel like they can literally like 2v5 this Xayah and Aatrox as long as Aatrox doesn't eat like a random barrier. Look, he's like going to fight here, I feel. Nice W. We get the Lucian flash. Riven's probably just going to die. This Aatrox is so strong. Oh, barrier. Oh, lovely. And nope, not even a flash needed. Just like crazy limit knowledge, like knows exactly what fights he can and can't take. It was actually looking a bit spooky there for a second, and then he just, no worries at all. So one of the big things with the new Death Dance and the way that Aatrox works with his passive, and especially in his ult, so everyone knows that Aatrox gets more healing in his ult, as Bard thinks he can just walk up. Everyone knows that with Aatrox, his ult gives more healing. So obviously with Death Dance, if you get a kill or a takedown rather with Death Dance, any damage that you have stored, so everyone knows that damage, the damage stored mechanic with Death Dance, it gets healed back to you. So that plus Triumph with Aatrox on ult reset is just like a team fight turning thing because Aatrox gets back probably like 40, 50, 60% HP just off the Death Dance and the Triumph if he gets a takedown. So you should be really playing towards those if you're playing Aatrox in the current meta because those items work really well with him and that rune setup. Triumph obviously being double as effective. So playing Aatrox kind of like a reset champ. I see a lot of people diving on Aatrox. Like you shouldn't dive on Aatrox because you actually really don't have the damage to just like 1v5. You should be acting as a disruptor, like really similar to Riven. Riven doesn't really have the damage to like just go and deal with 3 people on their own. So you should be looking to kind of like just finish someone off. Like you see someone kind of like walking towards your ADC or whatever, just like kite back with your Q. Just act as like a bit of a disruptor and play around your healing. Like too many Aatroxes I see, like lower elo ones that really can't really make him work, don't really understand the way that he functions. They just dive too hard. As we see Riven getting picked here. There's just no way she survives. Lovely. So he's kind of translated his lead around the map really effectively. Obviously giving up that one death to the Ahri under the tower, but it is what it is. Everyone dies, it's all good. 181 CS, 21 minutes. So kind of him being, I would say like the biggest thing with him at the moment is like him just being in the right place at the right time. Doesn't even use ult, has barrier, will not die. Not bad getting the Bard ult there. He'll have to flash an Ahri Q or Ahri Charm. Looking for that reset. Like look how much HP he got just there. Just exactly what I was talking about before. So he's at literally 10% HP. Gore Drinker, auto plus 500. And then he just gets even more from Triumph. Like look, he's back at like 80% HP from Death Dance and Triumph. Absolutely insane. And he's just back in the fight. So like, I hope, this is actually a perfect example. Like I really hope that this highlights exactly how effective like playing Aatrox the way that I just suggested is. So playing him is like kind of like a disruptor, just waiting for like picks, waiting for someone that you can kind of like look to get a kill on or like get that easy execute, getting your Triumph off, getting your Death Dance passive, all that kind of thing are like really, really important aspects when you're playing Aatrox because his reset on his ult is such a massive mechanic. And when I was learning him, I was getting these crazy leads in lane, like literally 10 CS per minute, 4-0 out of lane, and then I would just int it the rest of the game. And I was like, why can't I just, like, what am I doing wrong here? Because like every champion functions functions differently as how they should approach team fights. So like, as I said before, so Aatrox should be played like a disruptor where you look for like a takedown. Set should actually be played as like either between, depending on your comp, he should be played as like engage or peel. So for example, if you're against like a Scion and you're playing Set, don't like flash ult someone into the enemy team. You should be standing on your ADC and waiting for the Scion to ult you and then ulting him away. Like things like that, just understanding how champions function. Everyone is just walking into each other at the moment. Understanding how champions function will really help you succeed when you're pushing your leads in these like skirmishes and team fights. Because one thing, like even on, I think like on Renekton, he used to be able to play team fights a lot differently, but now you act like just basically a stun bot when you get to those later stages of the game. So you should be just looking to lock down a high priority target and not like diving the back line. Like Aatrox should, Renekton should just act like a disruptor, as I said before. There's just no way he dies here, right? Also, another little cool mechanic I just want to show you guys really quickly. So when you cast W as Aatrox, so I'll show you really quickly. W is barred here. So when you cast W, obviously it slows them. But if you, so he hits Q2 here, Bard would get out of this because he just speeded himself up with his heal. Bard would get out of this, but because the Q knocks him up, it actually gives the W enough time to pull him back in. So if you're playing Aatrox, guys, make sure you're aware of these kind of openings and like how to get someone back into the W. Because that kind of thing, like as he heals back to full basically again, lovely, maybe dies here, not barrier here, no, he's got stopwatch, there's just no way. Look at these resets coming out, like this is just the sort of stuff, like again, he's full HP, just tanking a tower, no worries, he's got gold drink out, there's just no way he dies. The amount of composure this guy has in team fights, like I would have already stopwatched, flash, like whatever. Just such a joy to watch. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a joy to cast, like honestly, I love watching him play, he's just such an unreal player. If you guys are new to the channel, so before you enjoy the content, please leave a sub and a like, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.